Today's video is on a topic I've touched on before, that we as human beings tend to view generations which come after our own as being a bit softer, a bit more mollycoddled. Now, part of this is that technology makes our lives easier, and scientific development means we don't have to work as hard at all things. For example, in the Western world, almost all homes now have central heating. To warm our houses, we don't have to burn coal in the fireplace. No, we burn it in power stations instead. Because, let's be honest, all those wind turbines, the thousands of them that are littering the UK and Europe, they aren't doing shit. And I haven't gone full on Donald Trump. Do you remember that speech he gave where he said that wind turbines were confusing whales and caused cancer? Anyway, also, if you want to wash your clothes, 100 years ago, you'd need a scrubbing board and a mangle to wring them out with. That meant if you were cleaning, say, a shirt, you had to take all the buttons off it and then sew them all back on again afterwards. These days, most people don't even bother to iron their clothes, myself included. If I'm wearing an ironed shirt, either some people I know are getting married or someone has died. And I'll be using very sweeping generalisations talking about younger people. And of course, most young people are fine and well adjusted, but some aren't. We know there are children turning up for their first day at school who can't wipe their own arses, whose parents haven't attempted to teach them to read and write. Some of them can barely talk. And in secondary schools, there are schools who are having to remove analogue clocks because the students, because they're used to digital watches and phones, they find them too fucking triggering. Now, I'm from the tail end of Generation X. I was raised with the values that if you want something, you're going to have to work for it. Second place is the first of the losers, and if you can't afford something, then you don't have it. For example, my Audi, the red Audi with the 18-inch wheels, there's no finance on that car. The wife and I saved up some money, saw it, liked it, bought it. Also, my generation, we have very basic practical skills. I can wire a plug, I can put up a shelf, I can change a tyre, I can cook. It's amazing how many younger people can't cook because they've grown up staring at their phones. They open an app and 20 minutes later, the food gets delivered. So this video is essentially about what went wrong. Coming up is a clip of a woman and everything she says is absolutely spot on. Just a word of warning, she swears more in 1 minute than I will for the rest of the video.
This TikTok is for Gen X and Gen X alone. If you are not Gen X, go ahead and scroll. Okay, now that they're gone, we fucked up. Gen X, yes, we fucked up and we fucked up big time. We caused the entitlement of Gen Z and some of the millennials. When we started giving those little motherfuckers participation trophies, telling them that all they had to do was show up and it was enough, we caused the entitlement. When we stopped forcing them to fucking compete and told them that they could be anything that they wanted to be, they grew up and took that shit literally. These little motherfuckers are like little amphibians running around, just changing sex now. They don't want to work for shit because why the fuck should they? We told them that just showing up and being them entitled them to everything that they fucking wanted.
Entitlement. The youth of today and some millennials, for them, there's a lot of that. But this is a generation who've never wanted for anything. Music is all free streaming. They can get anything they want from the internet. The concept of actually working and paying for something must be completely alien. Yet I feel sorry for them. As a child, I remember watching Sesame Street, an American show which taught very young children the alphabet and how to count. Modern kids' TV shows are all about gender and which pronouns to use. Now, as a young boy, as an adolescent and as a young man, never once did I think, today I'm feeling quite down. Maybe I should cut off my penis and call myself Veronica. When it comes to work, I've noticed there aren't that many younger women working in supermarkets anymore. Because now we're telling young women, don't go out and get a job, start an OnlyFans. Get your gash out, shove things up yourself, and men will give you money. Or sit at home all day in your bedroom with your kit off on a webcam and wait for strangers to tip you. And I bet those strangers are young men. Young men who've grown up staring at their phones, who've never had to develop the social skills to actually talk to a woman. Now, when I was a younger man, if I wanted to speak to a girl on the phone, I had to ring the landline because mobile phones, they hadn't really taken off yet. So the first person I would speak to would be that girl's dad. And he knew exactly what I wanted to do to his little princess because he'd been a young man as well. So I think the rot started with Generation X, but I think the millennials or Generation Y, they have a lot to answer for as well. We're about to see a clip of a millennial objecting to the attitude of Gen X. The idea that on a beautiful summer's day like this, children should be outside playing. Which I think is a good idea, rather than just staring at a screen all day. They can be getting exercise, socialising, developing social skills so they don't end up living at home with their parents until they're 40. Now, there is the argument that when children go outside, a lot of them are taking ketamine and stabbing one another, but most are fairly well adjusted. I'd rather be outside in the sunshine than staring at a phone, which is what you're doing right now.
Problem with Gen Xers, putting your children in danger, allowing your own children to be running around the street with your street light on. They want to be old-fashioned, won't let their kids go in the house because they believe that kids should be outside all damn day with the water hose on. Stop talking a whole lot of smack about minerals.
I find it hard to trust the opinion of a millennial, because that's what she is, who thinks millennials are called minerals. Also, what's going on with her eye makeup? It looks like she's drawn around each eye with a Sharpie. Other permanent markers are available. And of course, some millennials now are in their early 40s. After Generation Y, the millennials, we had Generation Z, or Gen Z, if you're watching in the New World. To my friends watching in the penal colony, if you could pause for one moment from surfing and playing Aussie rules football, which as far as I can tell is just a fight with a ball, how do you pronounce the last letter of the alphabet? After Gen Z, then we have Generation A. They're today's youngsters. Here's a very short clip of one of them.
I'm just like every other girl. I just want to use the locker room. There's nothing different about me.
He's just like the other girls. Except he isn't. This used to be really fucking simple. I suppose we should be grateful he's identifying as a girl or not a stapler or a bird bath. And maybe he's transsexual. Gender dysphoria is a really horrible mental illness that often needs years of therapy and sometimes surgery. Or maybe he's a transvestite, and those are cross-dressing fetishists. The two terms, though, have been mixed together as transgender, and now we have grown men identifying as women to gain access to women's spaces, not because they think they're actually women, but because they're perverts. And I'll be crude here. I think I speak on behalf of every heterosexual man. When we were at high school and the hormones were racing, the idea of getting into the girls' changing room was very appealing. I had no idea all I needed to do was to put on a skirt. Thankfully, I think the vast majority of people are waking up and seeing the pendulum has swung too far. But for some people, they will be doomed before they've even been born.
Hi, my name's Phoebe and I'm a transgender menace. Here are the ways that I'm going to force the LGBTQ on my unborn child. Every single one of their stuffed animals are homosexuals. These two are boyfriends. My wife and I painted every single wall in our house with fruits to make the baby fruity. I'll be undergoing a new and innovative form of top surgery that will allow me to breastfeed the child oat milk. We play Elton John and Jake Wesley Rogers for the baby 24/7.
Apparently, that was an attempt at comedy, and that's rich coming from me. Both of those people are technically female. Fucking ugly, but female nonetheless. Yet, I see no problem with same-sex parents. A child can have two mothers or two fathers. I mean, technically, at some point, someone from the opposite sex will have to be involved. Even if it's just a bloke wanking into a jar. The miracle of life, how magical. But a child's sexuality won't be influenced by their parents' sexuality, because I don't think we get to pick that. You could sit me down in a room for as long as you like, and no one could convince me that as a heterosexual man, I secretly want to suck cock. In the same way that you can take a gay man and convince him he's actually straight. The issue is, though, that the first woman in the video didn't say she was a lesbian. She said she was trans, and being trans isn't a sexuality It's an identity. It may be a very relevant identity, but an identity nonetheless, which can be pushed onto young children. And we know this because every washed-up Hollywood actress now has a trans child to keep her in the headlines. And if that pair do have a child, what sort of fucked up life is it going to lead? I imagine in 20 years' time, the then grown child will walk into a therapist's office and he or she will think, fuck it, I'm putting down a deposit on a yacht. So, to younger people watching, from Generation X, apologies. We messed up. I don't know why I'm apologising. I haven't got any kids. But something went wrong. Another thing we used to have, back in my day, was a thing called common sense. That was very practical and very useful. It seems to have fallen by the wayside, as we will see in this final clip. That's natural selection. Right there. Because anything makes her jump or she moves slightly and she is dead. For a photo opportunity, is Instagram worth dying for? Now, a few years ago, there was a story about a man with a selfie stick, and I refer to a selfie stick as a twat wand, because if you see one waving about, there's always a twat on the other end of it. He was trying to get the perfect selfie, stepped back, and fell to his death down a volcano. That's the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, please do like and subscribe if you haven't already. Click the notification bell, please give it a like, and as ever, thanks for watching. On a topic I've touched on before, the way that we as humans look at generations which put our fucking bollocks to Generation X. So, I was raised with the values, if you can't afford it, you don't have it. Second place is the first of the losers. Boys can't be girls. Human beings don't change sex. Fuck, it was simpler. There's a lot of that with the younger generation. Now, I didn't have a mobile phone until I was 20 years old. And I had that phone for about 3 years. This modern obsession with having the latest, the greatest, the best mobile, the fucking don't know what I'm fucking saying in the new world. And to my friends down in the penal colony, if you could put down your Fosters for just one... Actually, no, that's a question. I'll ask this. My Australian friends, do you drink gallons of Fosters? Because in the UK, we're led to believe that's the only beer you have. And Castlemaine 4X. Never met an Australian who I didn't like. That being said, I've never met an Australian who wasn't already drunk. Just like the other girls? Is that really true? I doubt he has a vagina. Although he may be a cunt.